Alright, I think
Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all about. Threw my virtues to the ground, drinking from the devil's cup. Take that pill, drink it down, flashing lights all around. High as hell, drunk like finally don't give a fuck. 'Cause I'm breaking all the rules tonight. Not going down without a fight. As long as I'm still breathing, doesn't matter how hard you might try. We can take this freedom.
Hey, this is the Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. Hey everybody. So last week I messed up by not by having everything as unlisted and being like 15 minutes late. So hopefully this week I'm late anyway because we have we got a new person starting in the office and just seeing him off today. So sorry for being late again today, guys. Billy, hey, how's it going? Azimuth, hey, how's it going? Orion Core, hey. Graham Ford, glad you can make it. And thanks, Billy. I did change the title when I saw what you did there. And Jesse, rolling on the floor until I shit myself. Yes, Mega Man 8th. Shoaib Ali, how's it going? Tell me how to list the app in Chinese app stores. That's a good question. Let's talk about a bit about Chinese app stores today. Rodrigo, hey, how's it going? Hussein, hi. Fozzie, is it Fozzie? Is it Faza? Fozzie Ninja. Shoaib, in Chinese top app stores for free. Yeah, it is possible to do it for free. So I did it in the first few. Relax. Don't worry, and I won't tell anybody. I'm not here to steal your fire or your job. Lol. I'm not a developer. I'm a consumer with an opinion, usually. LTISM. Oh, that's right. LTISM. Chord Funk. Hello. Fozzie Ninja. Your app just got 80,000 downloads. So Fozzie, was that in a course of a couple? Is it Fozzie? Faza? Is that in a couple of days time, or was that, or was it like a milestone that you reached? Because if you did something, Fozzie, share with us what you've done. So Shoaib, tell us about the Buffer API. Cool, Buffer API. Let's write this one down. The Buffer API. So I am using the Buffer API for certain tasks. So I have like, we use Buffer, or I've been using Buffer for years, which is the way to automate your social media. Or like if you see something you like and you have a browser plugin, you put it into Buffer and then it will send it whenever the next scheduled time is. So let's say your next buffer is like 10 tweets a day or 5 tweets a day, then you just fill up your buffer and then at the specific times it will publish those, and you're able to do that by just being able to just sort of have them in reserve rather than when you're going. So, and you also do your own tweets and your own social media at the same time. But we did Buffer for a long time where we would take our reviews and make and put them into Canva and make like social media type things. So we take our really good reviews, put them into social media. We do them into Instagram, into Twitter, into Facebook, and we would just put them into Buffer and it would go through. And every so often I wrote a script because my buffer only had 200 items, and the script would go through and it would buffer everything. It would rebuffer everything and then shuffle them so it wasn't like a continuous loop of stuff. And it was really cool, and it's one of those nice things that saved a lot of time. So do you want to go specifically into the Buffer API? Yo, Eric. Alistair Holmes from Zimbabwe. Hey, how's it going? KD Dev. Hey. Let's see, Fozzie. So it took 3 months to get to 80,000 downloads. Is that 80? Sorry, is that Fozzie? Is that 80,000 concurrent users or 80,000 downloads? Anil Kumar. Hey, how's it going? KD Dev. Do you have any tips for getting a job as an Android as a junior developer? I think the best thing you could do anybody to get a job as a developer is to develop. So like I told you guys about my how I came over here and I had a history degree. I got lucky that I got hired as like a junior trainee developer, even though I didn't really have any development experience, and I just worked my butt off to learn as much as I could, as fast as I could. But so I mean, years later, I was interviewing someplace and I was talking to a guy who he said he had a similar story, and he was like the CEO of this company, and what he told me was that he had a background in, I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't in computers. And so what he did was he just wrote a book about SQL, right? And I said, well, if you didn't have any experience on SQL, how did you write a book? And what he did was he just read like 10 different books and wrote his own book on SQL. And I thought, that sounded so cool. Like he just made a name for himself. Or, you know, how could you go into a job interview and says, I've written this book on SQL? And you might say that he wasn't a professional on it because he wasn't using it every day, but he acquired the knowledge. And I think the thing about being an app developer, especially now, is because you have all these free, I mean, the tools are free, the frameworks are free, the servers are free to a certain extent. You could buy a course or you could buy a book. You could go on YouTube and find the content for free to learn how to do it. You could sit there and put the time in and learn how to do it and release something to Google Play for $25 for that first time, or for $99 to Apple, $99 a year. That and the expensive Mac. You could go through and do that, and you go into a job interview and you've already, you already developed, you've already done that. And if you work on open source projects, and that also could help you. You have your own GitHub library, because like when you have to think about it, if you go into a job interview, like let's say you don't know how to code. Let's say you're just a mere mortal and you need to hire somebody, and people are coming in, and some people are saying, somebody says, I've never done it before, but I can learn, which is fine. Somebody comes in and says, I learned how to do it in school, but I haven't had any experience. Or you have somebody comes in and says, I haven't learned it in school. I have no formal education here, but I've released these 5 different applications, and here's some of the libraries I produce on GitHub, and I've contributed to these blog posts, and I've done all this kind of stuff. For me, I would choose that last person, because they're like a player in the industry. They're not just thinking about, I'll do whatever my boss tells me. They're thinking, they're like, they're just in there in the thick of it. And so many times in my career, I've talked to other people who are like, they want to move from the job that they're in, and I say, well, why don't you go for this job over here? And it's always like, they want .NET. At the time it was .NET. That was the thing. No, they want .NET experience, or they want not what they want this, whatever. And I'll say, well, you have experience with that. You know how to do it. I said, yeah, but it's not commercial experience. And now with the App Store, I mean, putting something on the App Store, if you get a few sales from it, that's commercial experience. You were engaged in the commerce of the App Store, and and I think that's a much better experience to have than having just you've gone to school and you learn the concepts. Now, I don't have a computer science degree, so I might be a little bit biased there. But when I'm hiring somebody, I'm thinking, if they don't have those kind of skills, do they have the capability to learn? And if they do, if somebody could talk my language as a developer, if somebody could say, oh, we're using this new library over here, or we're what do you think about this, or what do you think about that? We're checking out, like, let's say it's app marketing, and you want somebody to help market your apps, and they know the pros and cons of Sensor Tower or Mobile Action or a Google Keyword Finder tool. Then that's the kind of thing you want. They're active in the industry, and they're always reading about it, and they're always knowing about it. So years ago, sorry, I'm rambling now because it's a live stream. So years ago, I read one of the books by Brian Tracy. It may have been one of the audio cassettes. And he said, if you went to go see a doctor, and the doctor, you could go see 2 different doctors, and one of them was like, he has a bunch of books behind him, he's reading all the academic journals and everything like that, and he's always keeping up with technology, or with the latest in medicine. And you go to another one who says, I've only just learned on the job, so if something comes up, then I learn how to do it. You're going to want to go for that first one, and you're probably going to expect to pay a lot more for that first one, because they're always improving themselves, and it's not just do what you got to do and get out, or deal with whatever comes up. And a lot of times, a lot of developers I've worked with in the past, they're that other kind. They just, if a problem comes up, then they'll deal with it. Then they're not proactively learning new things and new ways of doing things. They're not looking at code in GitHub. They're not thinking, reading new articles and stuff that comes out. And that's the kind of people that I really like to work with. Real players in, like, I always call them players. The players in the industry who just, they're in it. They're in the thick of it, and they really know what they're doing. So, or they're also excited about it. All right, I'm gonna relax a little bit. So I used to work with one of my first big software jobs. I'm in a development team. I'm a junior developer. I'm kind of learning as I go, and everyone's kind of, they're, like I said, they're doing what they need to do. They go home. They learn what they need to learn in school. Maybe they'll learn something new if it comes up. So their experience, they learn more with experience because things come up and they learn it. And there was another developer I worked with. He was a contractor. He was a highly paid contractor. His name was Shola. And he was like, he would get really excited when he talked about stuff. Like, he would just go like, at the time it was like, it was all like, Internet Explorer was huge at the time. And you were talking about ActiveX controls in the browser and things like that. And he was talking about, using these different tools, and he would get really excited about it. And that caused me to get really excited about it. Like, I'm thinking, oh yeah, no, that would be really cool. That would be, we could use that. And I started I would read MSDN blog every day, and I would read all the different articles. And there was one called ASP Today website. And I would read those, not because it was like, I got to do it. I got to keep up, otherwise I'll be left behind. It was like, no, genuinely excited about the kind of stuff that you can do with these tools. And with the app market, you're seeing a lot more innovation coming a lot faster. Have you ever gone to Amazon or onto the App Store, and you're looking for you're looking for some documentation on a software language you recently learned because you're really excited about it at the time? That's the ultimate. Like, I can remember when I was first learning Ionic, I'm thinking, I wonder if I could find an app that would help me learn Ionic. Even though building an app would help me learn Ionic, or go check out which books are available, that kind of stuff. And now, because technology is moving so fast, every time I go look for a resource like a book or something, they're not even out yet. So there's not really very many good, like, Flutter books, for example. But I think we'll start getting some here pretty soon. So anyway, how's that for a rant? It wasn't a rant, really, was it? So Rafael Al-R says, Eric, have you met success with educational app category? Not so much. So for a while, our educational apps, they do okay. They do all right. And what we do, we get a lot of like bulk purchases on iOS mostly. So like we'll have teachers that will buy like 30 or 40 at a time. So you'd see like on your iOS app store, app center controller, iTunes Connect, whatever. In iTunes Connect, you see these huge spikes on certain days because somebody would buy one of the language learning apps, and that was good because people are buying in bulk. However, a lot of the day-to-day stuff, it's not really very exciting for people. But for me, it's always been, if I'm excited to learn something new, then I will look for it. So like if somebody made an app to teach you how to learn Flutter better, and I don't know how you would be able to do that, like a game or something, that would be something that I might even invest some money in because I'm excited about it. I'm eager to do it. When I was learning Chinese Mandarin, looking for language resources all the time. We had this stuff at our language school, but we also had old copies of Renmin Erbao, the People's Daily, and stuff like that. And it was just the same stuff going over and over again. And it would have been nice to have something that would help. That would be a little bit more fun, where you felt like you may actually be having fun and learning at the same time, so it's productive and time wasting as well. So, but 2 years ago, I went to the BET conference in London, which is a big educational technology conference, and it's at the Excel Center, And there is a lot of money being spent on educational applications and big, huge frameworks. They're trying to sell them to schools because schools, even though they don't have a lot of money, their budgeting, I guess they could easily be swayed. I don't know what it is, but so Rafil, I think the educational app category, I think it should be a good one. Maybe I'm not doing it as well as I should, but when I'm looking for something, if I'm looking through the App Store and something says this will help you learn this skill, that interests me. I mean, but maybe that's just me. Let's see. I lost my place already because I went on talking about all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Chord Funk says, "Yo, Eric. Chord Funk, I was looking at Flutter. Do you think the reason for Flutter is a Fuchsia thing, the new Google OS? I don't really know very much about Fuchsia. I've really looked into it. I think the thing that I liked about Flutter, I think, is that it's not. The thing I find with Ionic and Cordova based application, which I really like, I was very excited about them. The thing I really liked about them, the thing that I really had trouble with after a while was how clunky they get after a while. And it's not their fault because they're making really good tools, and they are. I think Ionic's a really good framework, but it's you keep getting these dependency problems where they make a change and everything breaks. Nothing in production, just your development environment. So if it was production, that would be a huge issue. But because it's already deployed and out there, it's not. But and there's all these different dependencies. In React Native, React Native's the same. It seems like every time I do something in React Native, the developers do some work, it comes back to me, and then something has changed on the platform, and I need to go through and sort those things out. And which I don't really see with Flutter. And that's one of the things that excited me about it. And also because it's compiled and it is cross-platform. And even Xamarin, when I was looking at Xamarin, it seemed like a really good development experience, except for the bits where you had to do the, not using Xamarin Forms, but using the, the same XML and the same nib files from iOS. That I found that to be kind of strange. But I bet, and I haven't looked at Xamarin in like 2 years, I bet that's improved a lot. So Wi-Fi Blocker says, "Yo, Eric, Friday, yay. Yay, it's Friday. It's been a long week. Smashed it this week. Cracked a great feature that a lot of customers were needing for months. Exhausted but happy." That's awesome. I had a big breakthrough this week. Well, it wasn't a breakthrough really. It was fixing a bug for a client, and it was like something that they were really having trouble with, and it was something we released a long time ago, and it went through testing and everything, and it's this little thing that that just sprung up, and I think it had to do with an iOS release. It had to be, because all of a sudden it stopped working for all of their users, and so they came to me, and I was like, well, we've already released that, we've already done that, but I did look into it and fix that, and it was just sitting here at 10 o'clock at night, and and getting that done at like 11 o'clock at night, which was an exhausting day, starting at 4:30 and finishing up at like 11. But then it was like feeling like, yeah, man, I got that done, knocked it out. Sometimes that's really really good. So let's see. So Fuchsia, okay. So Shoaib Ali says, please tell us the app stores that you're using for your apps downloads. So I've used a lot of them in the past. We've used, well, Google Play, obviously. We use the iOS or the App Store. We use Amazon, but I haven't updated anything on Amazon in like a long time. We use Samsung Store. And the Samsung Store was one where we were able to see a lot of Chinese downloads initially. I have never used the, what's the new one? It's a Chinese company, Huawei. I haven't used the Huawei App Store yet. And I haven't even looked into it. So when it came to the Chinese app stores, we used Tencent. God, what was it? I don't even think I have the links to it anymore. We used Tencent. We used China Mobile. There was like 4 of them we used. I'm thinking of Huawei, but that's not what it is. Yeah, let me have a look. I think we should do a video topic on that because it's been a while since I've done anything for the Chinese App Store. You know, so the reason, so one of the Chinese app stores, I was going in checking my stats and everything, and I realized that on my Google Analytics at the time, I had like a huge spike, and it wasn't coming from Google Play, because it wasn't on Google Play, and I wasn't getting the, and I had ad revenue coming in too, so that was cool. But then I went through and looked at it, and it was coming from China, and someone had actually somehow been able to get my application and release it under their own name. So they changed the icon, everything else. They couldn't change the package name, so and they couldn't decompile it, so it was still there. It still had the ads in it, and so I went through and I complained to the Chinese company, and they did fix it. I mean, they did assign it to me, and I should have let the hacker keep going with it though, really, because whatever he was doing to marketing, it was working. Let's see. Be Smart. Hey, how's it going? Hi, Eric. You said you'd give me your app to review and rate. Hi, Eric. You said give me your app to review and rate. Okay, yeah. So for app listings, yeah. So Be Smart. If you want us to have a look at your app today, we could do that. So put that through. Shoaib Ali says, which app stores are best? For me, it's Google Play. Google Play is the best one for me, and it has been almost the entire time. The app stores, even the app store, it's much better than the app store is for me. The name is Chess Clock, Chess Timer. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So this is one for Be Smart. We're gonna look at Chess Clock, Chess Timer, and I'll share my screen here in a second. And I know that I'm talking a mile a minute here today, so sorry about that. Just share my screen. All right, so Chess Clock, Chess Timer. If everybody see my screen here, and into apps is okay. So Be Smart, a chess clock, chess timer. So we've got the chess in the title twice. I'm not sure if you need to have the chess in the title twice, but I like the title. This is yours, right? This is yours, right? Be Smart. Am I looking at the right one? I like the name of your thing. So greatest apps and games. Let's see. Chess clock, easy to use and different times supported. Here we go. Okay, you know, let's talk about a few things about this. This is something, I don't know if I've ever done a video about this, but it's something I think about a lot lately. Is sometimes as developers, we tend to focus a lot on the features and not on the benefits. So this is one where we talk about, we have this nice text here, but we say, it's a chess clock, it's easy to use, and different times are supported. So if you know that you need a chess clock, then that's fine, but you're probably already searching for a chess clock, and let's just have a look to see if more than one show up. So this, and by the way, Be Smart, this is just my opinion. So let's go there. So first we got this one, which looks very similar to yours. But I guess that's what a chess clock looks like. And okay, so if I look for chess clock, we see a lot of things here. Let's look at this top one. Same kind of thing, just screenshots. So let's have a look at this. So first of all, I think the icon could use a little bit of work. But that's just me. I mean, if you put like some pawns or something in it and just play around with some different things. I think this looks like, it's not to be offensive in any way, because you're putting an app on the App Store, and that's great. Most people don't even do that. So I think change the icon a little bit and use some, sorry, I've got this HubSpot thing going. So use some Google Play experiments and just try some different icon designs and have a look. You've got the screenshots in here, which is okay. These two are kind of the same, except the time is different, and you've got different stuff. So, and it's a lot of text here to look. So let's say if we, Be Smart, first we have to look at the, okay, so let's go with the stages of App Store optimization. First, are people finding it? Are they going into your acquisition report and are they finding chess clock? And if they're not finding chess clock because that's there's too many of them, then what can we change to do, you know, chess clock timer, chess clock countdown, so start thinking about some synonyms we can use that might not be so crowded, that you can go through and just play around with those a little bit. So, and then also the thing here. So like, let's go to Google Play, and if I type in chess online, chess timer comes up, chess time, chess trainer, chess tactics, chess time multiplayer chess. Oh, that's a cool one. So some of the top ones that come up: chess clock, chess chess rush. I've never been a very good chess player, but so let's say we do that. So we focus on search. How can your app show up in search? Next, let's focus on the icon, because if it does show up in search and they're not very impressed with the icon, or the icon looks like all the other chess clocks out there, then you're competing on that. Next, let's look at the screenshots. So the screenshots are the one thing that they're going to look. They'll look at the screenshots more than they'll look at the description. And they'll watch that video too. So let's focus on the features. What will your app give them? It will help them to become a better chess player. It will cause them to think faster. It would cause them. It bring more enjoyment to the game. It would bring a bit more thrill and excitement to the game. And it will just think about some of these things and change some of these screenshots. So we use some. Think about the key points. What is the one thing you want? What will they get out of it? Not what does it do? What will they get out of it if they were to download it? I talk about Ear Spy being, it makes you feel like a spy. That's kind of the one thing that they get from it. And I didn't really focus so much on it has graphic equalizer, does this, because I'm not selling a commodity. I'm selling hopefully an experience, but and I do talk about the equalizer, and that is important because they might be looking for it. They might be searching for it. So I want a countdown timer with different times that are supported. If they're searching for that, you want to have that in the description. So let me know. You guys might disagree with me on this one, but that would be my ideas on that. And please give Be Smart your opinions there too. Let's see. Shoaib Ali says, is there any way to upload in Chinese app stores for free? Yes, absolutely. But you might have to get someone to read the Chinese for you. However, I think there's a lot more, I think they're trying to appeal a lot more to outsiders. So one of the app stores, you have to do like, what is it? There's a QQ number and set that up. So we for a while we were trying to use, what is it? WeChat. So we set up a QQ number and all this kind of stuff. And I've done a few videos in Chinese and trying to go that way. And I could read some of the Chinese. Or Google Translate helps a lot there. But when you get to terms and conditions, forget it. So but with Google Translate, I mean that's pretty good for reading things. It's not good for writing things, but it's good for reading things. So I mean that would help you. And the app stores are just like Google Play, except you don't have to pay anything. I've never had to pay anything to do a Chinese app store upload, except when I hired somebody to put it to a bunch of app stores for me for free. So yeah, look into that and do a Google of the top app stores now, because I think Tencent's one of them, and Tencent. Does Baidu have one? Why am I thinking Baidu? I can't remember. I know that they've changed a little bit in the last couple of years. Mark Fowler, hey, how's it going? Mark says, hey Eric, sorry if this has been asked before, but with the new Java SE pricing that Oracle is pushing out, how does it affect Android app developers? I don't know. Are they making everybody do it? I mean, is this why? I mean, I would imagine if it becomes something that we have to. If it becomes something that we have to pay for, then I bet Kotlin will get really popular very fast. But yeah, I haven't been reading about that. I'm not sure, Mark. But I would imagine it would be. Somebody said a couple weeks ago that this was one of the reasons why they're pushing Kotlin, is because so they can get away from the Java side of things. Let's see. Katie Dev says, thank you. That is what I'm currently doing. I love your channel, and it is very honest and simple. But what do you mean by contribute to free source? Oh, by free source, I mean open source. So there's tons of open source projects out there. You could either look at them as something that you can use, like I could release my own app using this open source project from GitHub, or you could say I could also contribute to this. And if you approach a developer, I mean, I always think how amazing it is that there's so many developers out there producing these tools for free that other people can use, and I hope that they get some consultancy fee out of it if it really takes off. But you know, if you've ever contributed to any of these, I think I released one thing as an open source project. Actually, no, as Overpass, one of our developers was releasing a few things, and I can't even remember what they were. But it was like one was a Raspberry Pi app, and I just don't even know where it is. I'll have to look for Overpass GitHub. But I released one which is a Nike Run API in C#, like a C# wrapper for the Nike Run API, and I had done that, and that was kind of fun, right? And occasionally people will say it's not working anymore or whatever, and because I was like, I've moved on, I wasn't really eager to go through and update that. Again, one of the problems with hybrid apps is that you're using all these plugins which work surprisingly well. You know, you can find a plugin that does anything, but then you got to make sure the developer is he's not like bored with it and moved on, or somebody else can pick up the mantle and continue to work on it, or fork it and do something else. So if you were someone who take over one of those projects or fork a project and do it, then that would be something, KD Dev, if you went to an employer to say that you're looking for an Android job, you can say you're already an Android developer, you're just looking for a job. Mega Man, gotta hit the gym, but we'll rewatch the stream. Okay, push hard, Mega Man. He's probably already gone. Shoaib Ali says, which analytic tools is best for apps analysis? Which tools are you using? I'm using Firebase Analytics. I was using Google Analytics before. In a way, I kind of like Google Analytics better. I'm using Firebase because we got all the other stuff in there, and I keep thinking I'll probably use it. But I like Google Analytics because it just seemed like it had more, like I could integrate it with a website and everything. And also with Firebase Analytics, you could include it in iOS and Android. You could drill down on the different versions. You can see the stream view. But I found Google Analytics had a lot more, I just had to get a lot more stuff to it. But Firebase Analytics is where they want you to go, so I'm happy to go that way. I mean, it's still nice to see the stream view. It's nice to see what people are clicking on, to put those little trigger events in there and see what goes on. And then you can also use like a remote config to change things dynamically, which I have tried to do in the past, and for whatever reason I think I spent like a few hours on it. Couldn't get it to work immediately, so I gave up on it, but I want to revisit that at some point in the future, so I don't have to release a new version if I want to change something, and I can play around with the languages, do the A/B testing and stuff like that. But so that's the one that I would use, Shoaib. Shoaib also says, how are you managing ads in Chinese app stores? Are you using AdMob in China? Yeah, it was AdMob in China that was going there. And I remember asking someone in AdMob whether or not they served ads in China, and they said they didn't know, but they do. I have had ads served in China, especially on the iOS side. So I would show you my AdMob console, but I'm not allowed. Sorry, let me just move this up here so I can look at you guys. Raghavendra Gaudra says, which development language should I use and which server should I buy? You shouldn't buy a server. I mean, you could. So if you're going to use a development server, a development language, it depends on what you're going to do. So if you want to do Android, if you're only considered with Android and you don't think you'll ever want to do iOS, then I would say, yeah, I mean, you could try something like Kotlin because it's brand new, and there might be job opportunities there if you ever need it. Or you can just go straight into Java with Android. You can do iOS. In terms of which server you should do, there's lots out there, but I would think that the server language you should use is Node.js, because a lot of servers do support that. You could go PHP and be all retro. Actually, PHP. I know there's like more recent PHP libraries and there's stuff that's out there, but I've never really been much of a fan of PHP. I like Node.js, and you could do that, and you could use like, there's so many different free tiers you can use. You could go on Amazon, AWS, Amazon Web Servers, and you can get a free tier for a year, like a lower end server to run Linux and just host a website and have your API and do all that kind of stuff there. Or you could use something like Heroku or Google Cloud Platform or all the other ones, and just upload your Node.js code there, run it locally, test it out, upload it there. You have your staging one on the free tier, staging or your test version on the free tier. You got your production one on a tier that you pay just a little bit for. If you need to scale up, you can scale up fairly easily by adding some more workers onto it, and also scale it back down if it gets too expensive. So that would just be what I would do, but kind of depends. Let everyone else, if you have an opinion on that, let us know. Shoaib says, which analytics tools for apps is best and free in your experience? Yeah, Firebase Analytics. I've used Flurry Analytics in the past, and I just was not impressed with Flurry. Alistair Holmes says, what do you think about the new info that came out of the Android Summit? God, I feel like I must have missed a lot of information this week. I haven't seen anything that's come out. Do you have anything specific there, Alistair? Because I've read little bits about it, but I don't know what specifically came from that summit. Shri Akalesh says, thanks for being a good mentor and for guiding me on the right path. It makes it sound like it. I mean, I'm an app developer, so I will always be thankful to you. No problem, Shri. Shoaib Ali says, are you using any other marketing tool except the Buffer API? Yeah, so we use Buffer is the one we use a lot, just because it's easy. Just set it and forget it. But we're using YouTube. We're using and we're not using Buffer for Instagram. So I think Instagram we're doing manually. See, you have to look at the different social media in different ways. So Twitter is like a stream that's always flowing. Twitter is if you tweet something, you're gonna have to follow up and tweet it again, because it's gonna get missed. Nobody's going through. The likelihood that somebody's gonna go and look at your Twitter profile and read all your past tweets is very, very low. On the contrary, if somebody goes to your YouTube page and looks at all the past videos that you've done, that would more likely happen. So it's likely, because Twitter, while you have Twitter search, people don't search on Twitter as much as they search on YouTube, or more as much as they search on your website, or as much as they search in other areas. So some platforms are better for search, so you only have to do it once and make sure it's optimized for that. And other ones is more like a stream, like they're not going to go back and look at tweets from a month ago. So that would be one where you think if you have a bit of content, you might as well continue to repurpose that and come back out again with it a few different times. And that's where the Buffer API does help there. So we make sure that, so we spent some time writing a blog post last year about a topic which is just as relevant today, and we call these the evergreen posts, because we have this spreadsheet where if we do a blog post, we call them our evergreen posts, which means they're not something that's time related, like a new version of EarSpy came out today. It's more like something more generic that would be just as relevant next year as it is today, and then that way we can continue to repurpose that content and put it back out there, and so forth. And we do that on LinkedIn. We do it on Facebook too, because but we have a lot of content. Like I said, 200 posts. So like nobody's gonna go down, scroll down 200 posts and read the time it was listed there previously, in my opinion. So and yeah, Buffer does have a free tier there. So what do you think about email marketing for apps? How was your experience? So what I've done is, for Ear Agent, we did a newsletter which we put into called the Spy School newsletter. And we wrote 12 articles, and they get once a week they go out. And The problem with it is I never ever sold anything from it. I wasn't even trying. It was like this thing I was going to get around to doing, and we tried to do so because we were building this huge list, and the bigger the list got, the more I was paying MailChimp to do it, and then we moved everything over to GetResponse, and so everything's with GetResponse now, and it really was something that we haven't done a lot with. Now I've read a lot about it, and it's something I want to do, and we do have a newsletter on our website, but it's something that we need to revisit again because we haven't done a lot with it. So, but if you could do it, if you could get an email from your users, you think about the advertising potential, all that kind of stuff. We got GDPR and everything too. So let's see. Adam Major, hello all. Hey Adam, how's it going? Let's see. Back up. Alistair Holmes says, how do you find beta testers for your apps? I've never been, when we do client applications, we get beta testers, or it's up to them to find beta testers. For me, I kind of just do the change. I test it out on a few different platforms, and I don't really have a lot of people I can go to. I might get some people on my team to test it, but that's just me. And I know there's all these different frameworks out there you can do it, and even Google Play, where it used to use Google Plus to do that, which is really hard to set up a circle and people join. Now it's a lot easier to have those beta builds, but I haven't really done that. Let's see. Shoaib Ali says, how are you testing your apps? We are facing a lot of bugs in our apps. So yeah, you have to think about apps as being, it's not like a website. You can go to the logs and see what it is. With an app, this is one of the things Firebase does too, right, as opposed to Google Analytics, is if you have Firebase in your application, you can have Firebase crash reporting, although now it's the other thing, isn't it? God, what is it, Crashalytics? It's a stupid name. So you can go through and see if there's an actual crash. You can go through and look at the stat trace of it and figure out where that's coming from, and that's a big thing. As a developer, you want to find out what those bugs are, and you want to know more than the users do. Like a lot of times you'll talk to a developer and go, okay, so the user's using this application, and when they click on this, it just crashes. What's going on? And they go, that's a good question. And you think, well, what do you think's going on? What's happening when I click on this button? Like, what could it be? And they go, I don't know. I have no idea. And and then you have the try catch, and then the catch block is empty because nothing's getting reported, and it just becomes this big mystery. And in order to solve any bugs, you have to go into development mode and run it locally on your phone. Ideally, you would have something where you could report back so you could figure that kind of stuff out. And sometimes you just have a theory. Like we have one application for a client where we just have this theory about what's happening, and it's happening maybe 0.1% of the time, like to certain users. Like it just, like the screen just goes blank, and I just cannot figure out what it is, right? We can't reproduce it. We can't nail it down. We come up with theories. We know all the questions to ask. There's another thing when you're troubleshooting, you know the questions to ask. Do you have internet access? Is it internet access stable? What's your disk space like? Is your phone out of memory? Is it possible that that you run out of disk space and it's trying to do something and it hasn't handled it properly? You say, what language settings is your phone at? Which is unlikely to cause any problems, but I've seen it happen in the past where it was a website actually where it was the language settings of the user. So there's other things to think. What's different about you that's not different about everybody else? And sometimes I get a bit annoyed because you're asking all these questions, but you think something's different in this situation, and it's always trying to figure out what's different about this person. Is it account based? If I log in as you, do I still get the same error? No. So it's environment based. So is it, what is your location? What is your time? We've had apps crash. No, not crash, but we had bugs reported, and looking through it, and I go, I'm just thinking through it, all the different stuff, and I go, hang on a second. What's the time on the phone, right? And it was like, oh, the time is an hour off. I said, well, that's causing it because it's not syncing well with it's not syncing with the server because the phone thinks it's this time and the server thinks it's this time. And most people have it set to automatically update with the internet, but for whatever reason, this person has switched that off. and that was kind of, you know, it took a few hours to figure out what that one was, but it's like it goes to the list of questions. What is different about this person? What is the brand of phone that they're using? What is the operating system? You know, all these questions that you go through, and when and then once you figure what that is, you put it into a knowledge base for the immediate term, but put it into the put a fix in for the longer term. Even if you cannot fix it, something that is a bit more elegant than it just crashing. Shivam Pandey says, you should talk about your Chrome extensions. What are they for individually? God, I don't know. Should we do that? Let me see. I don't have anything up here that I should. All right, just really quick, let's talk about my Chrome extensions, and I don't know if any of these are really good. Oh, actually, let me move this out of the way because I'll get that effect there. Let's see. So here are my Chrome extensions at the top. I've got my inbox. I got Google Keep. I've got my calendar. I've got AdMob, which I check all the time. LinkedIn. I've got my the stats of the Overpass channel. So every so often I'll go and look at that. We've got applications. Oh, so my Google Play console. So that's one I go to immediately. I got HubSpot, so our CRM. So you know, we need to check on some stuff. Google Analytics, YouTube Music, settings for my browser settings, so I could clear my cookies if I need to easily. And then the other one's Google Play Music, Trello, it should be further up on the list. Drive, Flipboard, which I hardly ever look at. Blah blah blah, and occasionally I'll just add some other stuff on here. So yeah, those are the shortcuts. So let's go through the Chrome extensions. Sorry about that. So those are the shortcuts. Let's go back to over here. So the Overpass site stats here. So over here we've got LastPass, the Google Apps Launcher, Buffer. So if I want to share something, I've got my Cores extension. So when we're doing any hybrid application development, which we still have legacy stuff that we do, and we got some new stuff. Then I have something that I want to run in the browser that communicates with an API. I have to turn off Cores, which stands for cross. It's a cross browser thing, or cross domain thing. Also, we've got Google Tag. So I think this is the Facebook. No, this is a Google Tag Assistant. So I can check to see which Google tags are running on our website when I'm changing that. I've got Grammarly. I've got the Great Suspender. So frequently I have way too many tabs open, and my computer just slows down. So it will take any tabs that haven't been used for a while and do it. Like earlier today, I must have had 30 tabs open in 3 different. No, I may have had like 20 in one browser, and 10 in another browser. So I've got loads of them there. What is this? This is Save to Keep, Ring Central, Google Launcher, TubeBuddy, Trello, GoToMeeting Pro, Keywords Everywhere, which gives me. Oh yeah, let's have a look at Keywords Everywhere. That's an interesting one. HubSpot Sales, Calendly, Sugar CRM, which I need to get rid of because I'm not using Sugar CRM, and HubSpot. So this week we started using HubSpot. So let's have a quick look at this plugin over here, which is called Keywords Anywhere. What this does is it gives you search results in lots of different things. So let's say I type in Candy Crush. Actually, it doesn't work in Google Play. Let's go to Google. And I type in Candy Crush. You see it adds these, the number of monthly searches that it comes in, and the cost that you would have to bid for an ad on that. Now, it's not really like I do ads on this kind of stuff, but it does kind of give me an idea of which keywords are popular on Google. As I said, it works the same on YouTube. I think it used to work on Google Play. I'm pretty sure it did. So I go over to YouTube and I type in Candy Crush, and it gives me that too. So it's just kind of like one of these cool keywords tools, which is just there in the background. It gives me some stuff that I might not even be thinking about right away. And even let's say if I say Candy Crush, which I don't really. This is. So let's say I go Candy Crush, it will give me some stats here about related keywords. So let's say, and it's just this free tool that works pretty well, and I'm always thinking about keywords. Where can we find new keywords and stuff like that? So that's actually a pretty good one. Thanks for that, Shivam. Let's see, what else? Shoaib Ali says, what is the name of your best app and Play Store account name? So it's Overpass Apps and Games is a Google Play account name. The best one is Ear Agent, which gets the most downloads. Rodrigo says, I've been trying to take over an open source Cordova plugin, and the guy doesn't want to let go, but he doesn't update the code or accept PRs. Shame. Can you fork it? Is that the kind of thing you could fork? I know it's not the main one, but you know, I've done that before where we had to fork a project. But yeah, it's like, I suppose if he doesn't want to take it back. Jay Matthew says, hey Eric, just watched your video, always hungry. Dude, I'm getting hungry now. I have a question. Do you think there are any correlation between hungry people and their financial status in the past or present? I do. I honestly do. I mean, it's, well, yeah, I would, let's see. No, because there could be somebody who's just really driven and motivated, but they're doing all the wrong things. The amount of times I've been working in a company, like as a contractor, and I would go in and I'm just trying to get out for the day because I'm like, I've put in my time, I need to get going, and everybody wants to talk to you. And there's always some manager who is not the owner of the company, who is not being paid any more than anybody else, and he's just there, oh, I've got so much work to do, I gotta get this stuff done. And he's working there late at night, and he's, you know, takes his glasses off and he rubs his eyes and goes, oh, I'm so busy. Oh my God, and he doesn't benefit from that in one way. Or maybe he gets a raise eventually, or maybe he gets overlooked, right? That's one thing. Or, you know, somebody who's doing a job that's very low value, but it has to get done, maybe. And then there's somebody, but, you know, I think it's those people with the drive and determination. I mean, it gets noticed. You know, even in a job that's not important, you know the person who is carrying that job for everybody else. You could just see it. You go into any fast food restaurant, you can see the person who's carrying it for everybody else. You can see it in the office building here. I can see I can see people who are just, they're the ones who are driven and motivated and making things happen and moving. And you can see people who are just kind of just taking it easy. Just, you know, yeah, things are good. You know, it's just that the other day. So last week I was so stressed. I was really stressed out. I had this, I did a video about it, this meeting I had to go to, and I thought, God, everything, I gotta get the bad news. And I'm just like, I went to the gym, and while I was at the gym, like 20 minutes into my gym thing, I'm checking my phone, which I shouldn't have done, and then I get an email from another client saying, I think I found a bug, and I'm like, so I'm kind of stressed out about that, and I'm just like, oh, I just need to go back to the office. So I go to the changing room, and I'm getting changed, and it's one guy walks in, one guy's still in there, and he goes, hey, how's it going? Oh, can't complain. You know, just not a care in the world. All they're gonna do is go to work, and they're just gonna carry on with their lives, and they're not putting themselves through the stress that I'm putting myself through, and it just made me depressed, and it made me like, oh my God, why am I going through all this? I could just take it easy and just whatever. And it really is, if I thought that I couldn't get to where I wanted to go, I probably would do that, right? I am not doing the work for the work's sake. I'm doing the work for where it's going to get me. For me to get to where I want to go, I have to be hungry. I have to do it. I have to really want that thing. I have to really want that. And if a doubt seeps into my head, then I might not pursue it. Let's look at apps as an example. Jay. How many people do you know who just give up? They like, you know, look, it just can't happen. I've tried it. I've seen other people try it. It's just not happening. But you know that it's possible. I mean, some people are able to make it work. So why can't that person be you? What are they doing that's different? I'm sure they're not doubting themselves. I'm sure they're not saying, it's probably a waste of my time, but I'll do it. No, they're thinking, no, this is going to work. We're going to make this work. We're going to plow ahead. We're going to do what we need to do, right? And that's where the hunger comes from. It's like, you know, if you think that the outcome is uncertain, or if you think it's unlikely, you're not going to work as hard as if you think this is going to work. I'm going to make this work. Let me know. Let me know if that answers the question. But yeah, I mean, I think about times when it's difficult, when you like getting up early in the morning and you get up, you go into the office. When I was working a contract, I remember somebody asked, I got an email from you at 5 o'clock this morning. What's going on? And I was like, oh, I get up early. I get up early to work on some stuff, and then I come in and so what do? You just read the paper? I was like, read the paper? No, I was working on this project, doing all this stuff. And they would start to look at me like I was crazy, like I was just whatever, you know, all right, whatever. Or if you've ever run a marathon, you know that there's some people who will be like, oh yeah, I want to run a marathon too. Or some people are like, oh yeah, I've run tons of marathons in the past, and they just make you feel so small. And then there's other people who are like, you know what, I don't know how you could do that. Can't think of a bigger waste of a Sunday morning than going out and running 20 miles. You know, my goal is to never do a marathon. And you just think, I get it, I understand it, but you know, they don't understand because it's a thing that's in your head. So yeah, let me know, Jay. Fredo Corleone says, everyone is doing well at this but me. My apps have failed to generate no money. I am fed up with native dev in Android Studio being so time consuming. Any ideas for those of us that are failing? Fredo, what is your app? Have we looked at that yet? Let's have a look at it. So let's not get too discouraged, right? Is your app, is it a total waste of time? Have you gotten anything from it? Have you gotten better at it? Can you do the next one even better? It might be slower progress than you think, but if you think it's no progress, then let's have a look. There's something's got to be wrong. Why is nobody finding it? Why is nobody downloading it? Let's have a look at it. So yeah, Rodrigo forked it the main, but it'll never be the main one. Yeah, I know. I was thinking about when I said fork it. When you fork the library, that would still be good, but the main one is the main one. So Shoaib says apt2d is saying me that you need to integrate our SDK to your project to show ads in China. They are saying AdMob ads is not allowed in China. Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not. I mean, Google is, I mean, at least it has been blocked in China. So YouTube is blocked in China. Well, Facebook is, Google is, but I always thought that part wasn't. But app, yeah, I've never even heard of app2d. Matthew Craig. Sorry, Matthew. Matthew Craig says, I'm an app developer. Damn right. I applied for a QA job to maintain an app for a local business. Any advice? I think QA is a huge... People... We just hired a QA person this week. You know, it's easy to quickly dismiss QA. I used to be a tester, not officially, but I was like, one of the jobs I did, they said, Eric, you're going to be in charge of testing. I thought, oh yeah, great, thanks. Right? I couldn't even do the development. And the thing about being a tester is the developers can't stand you because they think you're nitpicky, and the project owners can't stand you because they think you're delaying the project. And if anything goes live, the users can't stand you because they think you missed it. Right? It's just like such a thankless job, but it's important. And I think if you go in for that job, right, if you get that interview, I think you should go in there and say, look, QA is not just clicking on buttons and testing things. QA is an important role. QA is what's going to keep version 2, make version 2 better than version 1. QA is going to make sure that your users are happy and satisfied. You could spend all this money on marketing, but if you don't spend that money on the QA person and get the right QA person, then you might as well just throw all that marketing money away, because when that app crashes on a certain device because it hasn't been tested properly, then what are you going to do then, right? And I also think about, and also make the point that testing, depending on the application, it could be getting it wrong could be very expensive for them. Making the wrong choice could be very expensive for them. And you are the right choice, because you're not just a QA person. You're not just a person who could go through and follow through a testing script. You're a developer. So not only can you test these things, you could test things that other people might not test. As a developer, when you're testing, you test things like, let's put a single quote in this text box to see if they're doing some sort of SQL manipulation in the background and it breaks it because they're not thinking about that. Let's try to put an entire 80,000 lorem ipsum characters into this text field just to see if that breaks it, right? And the developers will all say the same thing. We know because as developers, we've said it before. What's the likelihood of that happening? You know what? But it happens. As a tester, you could you can find lots of different stuff. So Matthew, good luck on that job. I hope you get it. But yeah, go in there and make a point that you're not just a QA person. You're a developer and a QA person, and you could do far more than anyone else can. Not only can you find the bug, you can come up with a theory as to why the bug is happening so that you can reproduce it faster. As a developer, you could, like, the amount of times you watch somebody do something and they go, I notice when I do this and this, it crashes and this and this, and you start asking questions based on guessing what the code is like in the background. I say, okay, actually try to do it from this other screen. Okay, how about this one? How about this one? Probably what's happening is this, and you could already come up with an assumption about what it is. And if you have an assumption, I mean, all bug handling is assumptions until you can reproduce it, right? And then you're like, this is specifically how it's occurring, right? So I think you're in like Flynn there, Matthew. Good luck on that. Fredo Corleone says, Fredo Corleone says, what percentage of your app revenue does EarSpy make up? Too much of it, about 80% probably. And that's on both the Android and the iPhone version. Do other apps combined make up as much as EarSpy? No, they don't, but they do make some. So that's one of the that is the big one, I think. And I started to think about this a lot because for me, when it's always been, we just need to make another one of those and we'll be fine, right? But you think about yeah, but they do make a lot. I mean, I would not get rid of them. And I have no regrets about having made them at all. So, but they just don't do as well. Europa Gothica Online says, my app fail in Chinese smartphone is a very big headache for me. I prefer don't you think in the Chinese store. Why is it failing in the Chinese on a Chinese smartphone? I mean, have you been able to take your Android phone and change it to Chinese language and see what happens? Is it the smartphone? Is it something on the market they download it from, or is it something from where they are? Eric, you are working a long time in app business. What are your plans? You building any long-term software or project? Right now, we're trying to streamline the business. So this, and we do have some software projects that are been on the books for like ages. Like I've got the stuff that I want to get to, and we just haven't done it yet. We got things that people have been asking me. And I think the client stuff is just taking a lot of time. So this week we had 2 new people start. One of them's like a project manager, and he was he's been like streamlining everything. This week when you bring somebody else on and you're handing stuff over, that's when you realize how disorganized you are. Like, where's the quote for this project? It's in an email. Where's the quote for this one? That one's in Slack. Where's the spec? It's over here. Like, I've got everything all over the place. We're starting to streamline everything, put everything in CRM, and that. Now, I have people on my team who've always been criticizing me about this, like Rowena. She's always saying, we need to get more organized. And I'm like, yeah, but I gotta get this done today. And that's something I'm trying to get around doing. And we also have a QA person start this week, so that's something that's going to help out a lot because QA is important, as we've gone over. Jesse, do you guys listen to audiobooks? Jesse, I've had an Audible subscription since the early 2000s, so I've got like at least 300 books on my library, and some of them are pretty. And I've had two books a month. So the ones I've got most recently, there's one called. And I'm reading it on the Kindle too, so I'm using the WhisperSync thing. It's called The Art of Being Disliked or something like that, some Japanese thing. And also I'm re-listening to Expert Secrets. I mean, I read the Expert Secrets before, but I'm listening to the audiobook now. And also the Jocko Willink one. Not the new one, but the first one, the ownership one. But yeah, I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and lately I've been listening to more podcasts, but so they're kind of building up. I got all these audiobooks, so I'm thinking about pausing that for a while because I've got like 8 credits and I need to go through and use those. Let's see. Flashy says, hi Eric, I discovered your channel a few weeks ago. Welcome. I am currently starting a small company in IT industry automation. Cool. I really have to say, you keep me motivated with your honest and authentic persona. Well, thank you very much. Industry automation, I think, is something that's really important. So and I think it's a huge thing. I love to automate things. It's funny because we talked about Buffer earlier, being able to automate the tweets that go out, and some people are like, you're cheating, but I'm thinking, no, we're just making better use of our time. And we recently purchased, this week we purchased HubSpot, and last week I was looking at not getting HubSpot because it's so expensive, and just going with building our own stuff with Dialogflow, like a chat bot. And in the end, we just went with HubSpot because I thought, you know, I'm never going to get around time to doing that or hire somebody to do it. So we're doing that now. And I just think there's so much, there's so much that could be automated, fleshy. Like I can remember going into, this was years ago, working in an investment bank. You look at people and you think, dude, I can write a script. I could write a script on Windows Task Scheduler that would replace that guy and that guy because their jobs are just meaningless, which is a terrible thing to say because everybody needs a job, everybody needs income and stuff like that. But you know, software, there's so much you could do for so little. Let's see. Harold Koffler says, hi everyone. Hi Eric. Hey Harold, how's it going? Wi-Fi Blocker says everyone is QA. Get into test automation. Yeah, there's automated tests, and by the way, your developers, you know, I'm saying this, but I don't think so. We have some automated tests, but the ideal is to have an automated test. But sometimes it is that somebody using the application, clicking on things, and actually going through and figure out what it is. You can only automate so much, and sometimes things will go out to users. I mean, let's say, can you automate a typo in an alert box or a pop-up? Can you automate checking for the colors looking bad on a different screen? Can you automate checking to make sure that on different screen sizes that the buttons look as good as they should and stuff like that? There's a lot that's done that you actually need a QA person for, but some of it can be and should be automated. Because it's demeaning of the QA's of their skills. Just go, okay, click this, then click this, then click this. Did it work? Check. Let's see. But I think there's a place for both of those. Ideally, if the QA person brings a problem to the developers, the developers will write a test to make sure that it doesn't go through again. Manik Mittal says, hi Orion. See, how are you? Okay, so Shoaib Ali says, I have asked App2D for Chinese App Store listings, but they are demanding approximately $4,000 for IP protection services registration in China. They are saying this is required by the government. If they are, it's new. I would try someone else. Go to one of the sites and see if you can set up an account. If at that or hire somebody on Upwork who speaks Chinese if it's too hard. Say, I need somebody to go through and set this up for me. You need to translate this page and let me know what it is, and go through and set it up. I mean, it sounds like they're having you on, Shoaib, and if one person is telling you this and that's all you got it from, then double check. And it could be maybe you do need one, but you don't need to pay $4,000 for it, unless that $4,000 is going to the government and not to App2D. But App2D has to be making something from that. Kumar Ashok Singh says, what do you think about starting a new series? So Kumar, you sent me that really nice comment earlier this week saying about the views and everything like that. I don't know. So I've been working on something over the past week, and I say working on it because I need it this weekend. I'm going to work on it some more, is doing an ASO course. So doing something where we can have, where people who don't want to watch all the videos can go through and just see the stuff about, just like ASO, soup to nuts. We're not going to ramble on about anything else. We're just going to talk about how to optimize your app for the App Store for people who don't have the time to go through find all the other resources, stuff like that. I think just because we do the video daily, and I have thought about cutting down from the daily just so we could focus just on applications, on apps only, but it's kind of fun. I mean, it's fun to just talk about whatever's on our mind, and what's on my mind on a daily basis. If that gets tiring for people, then maybe I'll stop. But it's not tiring for me, and I think it's just, I don't want to do the daily video and then another series, although we could do a series in there. So I thought about doing an ASO series. So like for the next 7 episodes, we'll talk about this topic or something like that. But usually I'll try to cover it in one video if I can. So let me know what you think about that, Kamara Shock. I did read your comment. I thought it was really good. Let's see. Wi-Fi Blocker says a developer can debug, find fault, and fix it at the same time. That's true. But sometimes a developer doesn't see it for what it is. Like it just like the developer has something in his mind, and he just he's not seeing the other ways in. And sometimes it really helps to have somebody go in and just really trying to break the thing. Let's see. Shoaib Ali says, which keyword extension tools are you using for browser extension, please? I think we talked about that one. It was it called? Keywords Everywhere, keyword tool there. Adam Major says, Eric, you once mentioned that Google thinks about changing will be settling with the seller. So I'm sorry about that. Let me start that one again, Adam. Eric, you once mentioned that Google thinks that changing and will be settling with the seller in the same way as Apple, B2B, not B2C, where developer invoicing for each customer. Any change in 2019? I don't know. It is strange the way they both handle this. So the nice thing about Google Play is that we can refund things, but we also we have to do the VAT MOS here. So my accountant has to take everything and do the VAT for all the specific different countries because Google doesn't do that. On the Apple side, Apple handles all of that. So it's a different, it's a B2B situation. So I am selling my apps to Apple, and Apple is selling theirs to their clients. And on Google, it's different because it's like a store, and I'm selling it to the clients, and they're just taking their cut. And it's just a different way of doing it. And I hate it when somebody comes to me with they're unhappy on an Apple version because I can't refund it. I mean, that's the easiest thing. Say, look, if you're really unhappy, we'll just refund it. It's no big deal. If it wasn't what you were expecting, or if you accidentally clicked buy and you didn't mean to, or whatever the reason is, I'm happy to just go through and refund it. But on Apple, you have to say no. You have to contact Apple and ask them, and try not to say mean things about me when you do and stuff like that. So. Post Malloy says, can you talk a little bit about CRM and the one you use? So Post Malloy, yeah, we've used like every single CRM. We've gone through so many. And then, so last one we were using was Nimble. We use Streak CRM, which is nice because it integrates with Gmail. We've used Suite CRM in the past, and I started trying to go that way again because it's open source and it's free. And we've used, God, there's another one. There's so many that they all kind of sound the same. Is it Haystack? There's a 37 Signals one. Simple CRM, maybe, I think it was one. And so we've used a lot of them, but somebody had recommended to me, somebody who's with the business coach that I'm with recommended HubSpot because it's a really good free tier. So we're using that, and then so if we're using the free tier, I thought that's good enough, just something we can have, integrate with Gmail, go to the CRM, and that way we can keep track of the projects that we have. And then I got this really good demo from the salesperson about the advanced sales professional on HubSpot, and it was expensive. It is expensive, and I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I want to do that, but it would be really cool. It would really help. It would really help. It was back to the automation. The automation sides of it would really help us improve our productivity, but it's like, it's like 300 pounds a month or something. I was like, oh God, I don't know if I want to do that. But in the end, did pull the trigger for that, and so we've been setting all that stuff up this week, and I'm really happy with it so far. So, but it's only been, well, we've been using it a few months, but I've only went to the professional version for this week. But the free tier is really good. Code Chop says, Eric, what do you think about app reskinning business? Is it still viable? I don't know, because to me it seems like everybody's doing it. I would think that the thing I always thought about app reskinning was that a developer writes the code, and he's pretty sure that he'll make more money selling it to you for $20 than he would putting it on the App Store. and you're hoping that you could pay $20 for it, put it on the App Store, and make a lot more for it. Which, if that were the case, then the developer should have done that. But maybe the developer's rubbish or whatever. Or maybe you can add enough value to it and do a really good job at it. But it seems like they're really clamping down on those kind of things. So for me, it's never really worked for me. I remember being in a mastermind group of app developers, and people were, saying, I'm going to write a book about how to get rich reskinning apps. And it was just this big thing. And a lot of the people who've come out of the market, I think, were reskinners, because they were just in that factory mentality. I'm just going to reskin this thing and put it out there. Now, I've taken a lot of my applications and reskin them for other markets too. But but they were unique to me because I wrote them, or my developers wrote them. So I don't know if it's still viable. I don't know anybody who's really successful with it myself, but if you know anybody, I'd be interested to hear about that. I mean, they're currently still making a good revenue from it. App reskinning is why we have the Apple Guideline 4.3 or the Google repetitive content policy, right? I think that's where that comes from. So even though a lot of us are afraid, thinking, oh, these two apps are kind of similar to each other, I think it's really those reskinners that they're going after. Let's see. Rodrigo says, Eric, let me know if you need new podcasts. I follow more than 30. Yeah, you know what, lately, so I've been listening to Joe Rogan podcast a lot lately. And for years, I've listened to the Bill Maher Real Time, which is only like an hour. And the last couple of weeks I started listening to Joe Rogan, but I never get very far in it because it's just so long. No, I like listening to podcasts. Jay Matthews says, hey, Eric, just want to say thanks for doing these live videos and answering our questions. You probably have a ton of things to do besides this. Thank you. Actually, you know what, Jay? This is kind of fun. This is fun because I was so nervous at first that I wouldn't be able to answer any questions, like I'll get thrown. But it's kind of fun. Like a couple weeks ago, we started talking about doing drugs, and everyone's giving me their drug suggestions, and I thought, can you slow down, right? And and we always end up talking about pizza, which I'm starting to think about now. And it is fun to do. It's fun to get all the group together and talk about this stuff, and also look at apps. So I get sometimes. I mean, I used to get questions. Someone would say, could I get your Skype address? And a few times I give people my Skype address, but then it's just, they ask so many questions I have to remove them. Or people say, can I just get 10 minutes of your time? And in the end, we had to start saying, we have to charge, if you want an hour of my time, or half an hour of my time, or 15 minutes of my time, we're gonna have to start charging you, because it's just so busy. But if you come to the live stream, we can talk about whatever you want to for free, right? We can, all of us as a group, talk about it. And I think that's the most fun thing about it. I didn't think I would like the live stream as much as I do, Jay. I think it's a lot of fun. Edge Developer says, Eric, would you upload this after you're done? Yeah, I think it automatically gets uploaded. But yeah, I'll make sure we do that. Oh, you know what? So Jay, just going back to the live stream. So always my fear is saying that I would be afraid that nobody would show up. Last week, when I was late 15 minutes, because for some reason the setting was set to unlisted, and I started the video, and I did about 5 minutes, and nobody showed up, right? It was like 5, maybe 7 minutes, and it was awkward because I'm just trying to think about things to talk about, and I'm thinking, oh, because I was gone in Germany for a week, and I came back, and it was like, I deleted that video, but I should have kept it, because it was so cringeworthy, because I honestly thought I'm making this live stream and nobody's here. And then I found out it was set to unlisted, and then everybody showed up. So, but it was kind of these, like, my fear had been realized for at least 10 minutes there. Let's see. The Blazer says, if you won the lottery, would you quit making apps altogether? You know what I would do? I would make only our own applications. I would sit there. No, if you didn't have to worry about will this make money or not, you could just sit there and make just really, really nice things. I wouldn't do it like really long hours, but I would say, hey, you know what would be really, just do something that would be fun and to show people and stuff like that. Because that's one of the things, I mean, doing, making application, it is fun. It is fun when there's no pressure. It is fun when you're not thinking, I need to make a certain amount of money this month, or we need a certain amount of revenue. And you can just say, let's just do something for fun. And sometimes with somebody, like I'll have somebody come up and say, do you think it'd be possible to do this? And you're like, you just push everything aside, you spend 2 hours just coding something and say, you mean like this? And they go, wow, how'd you do that so fast? And they're like, because it was fun to do, right? And then they say, oh, can you change this? Can you change this? Can you change this? And you're like, nah, never mind. It's starting to become work now. Let's see. Kumar says, Kumar Ashok says, what do you think about starting a new series? I think I answered that one already. Orion Core says, please keep the daily videos. Yeah, you know, I like doing the daily videos, but like last night I was gonna do a video because I've got them done until Sunday, and I try to get Monday done before the end of the week so that Marvin, our editor, can get them online. And I had to go do something, like something came up and I had to go do it, and I wasn't able to do a video last night, and I didn't do a video today, and I've been so busy this week that I'm losing the daylight hours, and I'm trying to go. It's more fun to go outside and do them, and I think about loads of stuff to talk about, but I just, it's just doing that. I think I need to get better at I think I just need to get better at doing them in more public places, or like so last night basically I had to go do an A&E for one of my kids, and it was nothing serious, but so I'm thinking I could just do it here. But I thought, no, that would just be tacky to do a video from a hospital, but no, I still do enjoy it, and I appreciate you guys being here. Let's see, Christopher says, hi Eric, do you know how designers improve an app's UI technically? How do they improve it technically? I don't know, because I've never met a designer who's really technical. I think designers think more. I think the fact that they're not technical is one of the good things about them. I think as a developer, I think in terms of like, let's take web pages. Let's talk about web pages back in the day before we had single page web applications, where you're thinking, okay, this data will go here, we'll update that in the database, this will go over here. You think logically in terms of the functionality of the application. Now a designer will look at things and think of the aesthetics and the usability of it. So they don't even care. You can make any argument you want, but they don't care. They're just gonna say, I want this form to be round. I want this button over here to bounce up and down when you click on it. Whatever. They'll do something. You're like, but that doesn't make any sense. Technically, that's really difficult to do. They go, do it. Actually, I've never met a designer with that much power, but they are able to have you look at things in a different way and give things a unique look. Look at the Android store. How many times have we looked at apps on Android and they look like pretty much how you would expect them to look as a developer? They're kind of, they're logical. They're not very sexy. They're just sort of, they are what they are. And you got other things that are just so out there that you're like, wow, that's completely, completely different. So I would not say that's a good thing. Sometimes something's completely different. It's annoying, right? Like it's like using like using a DVD, and they try to be all clever with the menus, and you're like, I can't figure anything out on this thing. Where's the chapters or whatever? So Shoaib Ali says, which keyword extension tools are you using in browser extension, please? Oh yeah, it's called what's it called? Keywords everywhere. And which keyword tool is best in your experience? Probably Google Keyword Planner is probably the best, or Google Suggest. There's one called Uber Suggest, which is good. Let's go through that. I think we may have done a video about that one before. And ever since somebody says you're reusing content, I'm always like, now I'm thinking, have I talked about this already? I say Uber Suggest. So if you're ever looking for keywords, one of the things you could use is this one, and this is a very simple one. It's free. It does basically what it uses is like Google Suggest, and it will take all the like let's say let's put in meditation here, and we say UK England, and it will go through, and it's not necessarily for apps, but it's for it's for anything, for websites. So what it'll do is it'll go through in Google API, and it'll go through and type in meditation A, meditation B, meditation C, and it'll give you all these suggestions of other things that people are searching on based on Google, if it still works. Let's see. And I remember, yeah, it's got this weird domain here, app.neilpatel.com, and I've used this a lot in the past. and I don't remember if it's just slow or if it's not working anymore. But it does that. Another thing is just if you're gonna do some keyword research, like I said, we did it before. We just go to Google Play and type in, let's say, chess timer, chess, you know, and just see what the suggestions are that it comes back. And this is kind of what this thing does when it is working. If it's not working anymore. So in the past, I've used things like Longtail Pro, which I paid for. I've used other things which I paid for. I've never really found them to be that good. This week I'm going to meet with somebody from the tool to look at whether or not he's going to give me a demo of the tool, and because I've never used that before, I haven't even set up like a trial, and he's going to show me how that works for keywords, so we can do a video about that, and that will be so that should be some useful content coming out if it's useful. So that's like I'm not. So I've used Sensor Tower in the past, and Sensor Tower is this kind of thing where it's expensive, and nobody will say specifically, how would you use this thing, right? What was the thought process here? They just kind of got all these things, the Swiss Army knife, and they're thinking, you could figure it out, but we put so much stuff in here, we could charge a lot for it, and some people swear by it, and other people are just like, dude, it's too much money. So, and this isn't working. So how's that for a demo? Let's do it one more time. Let's do United States, just in case this is search. Maybe they're having trouble with it. Maybe it doesn't work anymore. Okay, well, so much for these demos. If it comes back, I'll go back to that screen. Let's see, what else we got? Shoaib Ali. Shoaib, are you saving up all these questions? Do you have a list? You asked a lot of questions today. What is your cost per conversion of your app's promotion on Google AdWords? Which countries are you targeting on Google AdWords? So if you're going to use Google AdWords, it's the chicken and egg thing. So you could pay a lot less and go for countries outside the US and outside of Europe and get like a really low rate on those ads. But because of that, if you're making money through ad revenue, you're not going to make a lot of money because those are low RPM countries. So you could spend a bit more and do it in the US. And when I've done it like through Facebook, I found conversions to be like £1 per install, which was way too much. And sometimes I've seen them as like £3 per install. But it depends on how competitive it is. Yeah, Jesse. So Jesse says app reskinning is like mobiles, Shopify drop shipping. Yeah, I agree with that. That's exactly it. It is. There's certain things where they're just too easy, and I've spent too much time looking at drop shipping and actually considering it. Thinking I could do drop shipping. It is just so easy. Any fool could do it, and if any fool could do it, then everybody's doing it. And part of the thing about apps is it has that impression like anybody can do it. So, so that's why you can have the reskinning. You don't even need to be able to code. All you need to do is purchase some code, reskin it, and release it, and watch the money roll in. And it just doesn't work that way. Anyone can do it, but branding and understanding the customer is essential. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Shoaib Ali says, what bots you are using for marketing except for HubSpot and Buffer API? Those are really it. No, I did have one. I wrote a bot, which I turned it off since I had to remove a lot of my apps from Apple, and I haven't put it back. But I did write a custom bit of Node.js, which would go through on a cron job every hour, and it would do a Twitter search for somebody looking for certain keywords, and it would send them a tweet based on, like somebody says, I want to learn Chinese. It would send them a tweet saying, and I use the spin tag. This is really spammy. So I use spin tags so that it would change them a bit, and I would say we have this application over here, and they would reply to it. So it was always try to be different, and so I could always do that. But I've switched that off since then. But it was some pretty good code if I do say so myself. That was one because I was actually at the time I was thinking, going back to automation, I was thinking I'm gonna hire somebody just to search Twitter and just if everybody says they want to do that, they could just reach out and say, hey, we have an app that does that. It's just going to be like really salesy. And then I thought about how that would work. I would hire somebody. They would say, what do you want me to say to them? And I'll say, just change it a little bit, whatever. And it'll be like, you know, and then it'll be, but pretty much it'll be just a copy paste thing. And I thought, well, if it's a copy paste, I could just do it myself through script. And I did. And that went for a while. So let's see. Rodrigo says, ha ha ha, love Joe Rogan. I thought it would be too hardcore to recommend that one. Too hardcore? I'm hardcore, Rodrigo. You think I'm a beta male, don't you? I'm an alpha male. So let's see. Where else? I lost my place. Let's see. Guillermo Raphael. I hope I said that right. Guillermo Raphael says, hi, Eric. Would you please say your opinion about repetitive content on Google Play? I have a lot of apps with the same base app, but with different contents like recipes, food. I'm kind of worried. Thank you. So far I haven't heard anybody with that problem of repetitive content, and I haven't either. So I'm the same way. I have a lot of language learning apps where we use the same theme and we apply them to different languages, and we didn't just change the I mean, we changed all the icon and different design work for each one, and sometimes we would tweak little different settings in it. So it wasn't just that easy. But Apple started just rejecting it. Apple started saying, no, these all got to be one application. And for me, it made no sense. It still makes no sense, because while the functionality is similar, the audience is completely different, right? There's no reason to have someone who wants to learn one language download an app that has another language in it, right? It's difficult for marketing. It's difficult for getting it in front of the right people. If I see an application that says this will teach you these 22 languages, and I see another one say this will teach you that one language you want to learn, in my mind I'm thinking that one's more specific to what I want. I don't need those other 21 languages, and it sounds like a lot of bloat, and it sounds like they're not specific for what I want, right? So that's why I didn't even bother doing the container app for it. I just thought, screw that. You know, it doesn't make any sense. There's a reason we did the things the way that we did. We are serving different people in the way that they want to be served, right? It wasn't like we just put it out there and we're spamming everything like Apple would have you think. People were buying it and they were thanking me for it. And they were saying, even now, I still get emails from people saying, we bought Hebrew Bubble Bath last year and we're trying to buy some more copies of it, I mean, because it's a school. And they said, and it's not there anymore. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. Apple just stopped accepting them, because Apple are bastards. I mean, well, don't get. You know what? It's been a while since I've had a rant about Apple, but this week we have a client application that's really has a lot of trouble with Apple, and it's like, they're just being the stubborn way that they are, the vague policies. And Google, I haven't had that yet. I have not experienced that, and I do think Google is the app reskinning. I think it's the app reskinning and the junk that we see on there. I can show you right now. I could type in my app, EarSpy, and I can show you all the competitors that are just exactly the same as mine, and they're just copying the design, and they're just putting it out there, and just serving a bunch of ads, and it's just out there. It's just, there's nothing I could do about it except I could just go and keep filling in that form and getting them removed. And I think that's the kind of stuff that they're going to remove. Like, so one of the developers, one of the copycats, when I talked about Mixer Studio last time, I did get one of their apps removed, but a lot of theirs are still there. And they're like, every single app of theirs is the same. It's just, in fact, let's look at them, because you know what? Hey, I haven't got enough attention for me yet. Let's go to, obviously this Uber Suggest is not working. Let's look at your agent. So we have had a few. So this is these guys. So they have the other one, which is EarSpy. So let's look at their account, because it's a total what's wrong with the ears, which is why we need repetitive content policy. So we've got Super Hearing Studios, EarSpy Super Hearing. We've got Deep Hearing, EarSpy Super Hearing, EarSpy Super Test, EarSpy. So it's basically, and then the paid version of their copycat app of mine is still here. So let's have a look at that. So it's basically taking the same language, the same description, everything, and they've had, how many downloads have they had? 50 plus. Oh, good for them. I'm glad I could help those guys out. So, but let's look at the same application again and again and again, and I'm, and it's not serving different markets. It just is what it is, and they'll probably release more if they had to. This is why we need a repetitive content policy. So I'm hoping that Google is not going to be the way that Apple has, and so far they haven't been, because Google, I like Google a lot more. So that's just my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. Harold Koffler says, how long does Google Play take to consider new keyword approximately? I changed my Apple title, and I'm waiting now for the 1 million downloads a day. I changed my Apple title, and I'm now waiting for 1 million downloads a day. You mean your app title? So yeah, no, it usually takes a few days. I mean, I've had this with clients. I've had this with people just say, Eric, I can't find my app on the Play Store. And so, well, when did you release it? This afternoon. Like, well, it's got the algorithm has to go through. So it usually takes like 3 or 4 days. Well, I'd say 2 or 3 days, and keep checking up. Keep checking App Annie and see how it's doing. Shoaib Ali, you're wearing me out, Shoaib. What paid marketing tools are you using? Just ads, I think. Yeah, just ads. How are you promoting your apps on Facebook for free? So we're building followers, and we're building followers, posting to groups, we're posting things there. Yeah. So, and if we could get somebody from one of our apps, and all of our apps link back to Google Play, so people can like it on Google Play, and if they do like it on Google Play, then maybe they'll see some of the other ones that we're promoting. But it's not the most effective way. Well, but it is what it is. So, how are you promoting your apps for free on Google Plus? How to avoid Google spam filters? Google Plus, we had everything going in there too through Buffer, but I think you're closing down Google Plus. And how are you promoting your apps on Instagram? Instagram, we're doing a lot more of. There's lots of things you could put on these social media platforms. Like every time you get a good review, you could just say, "Oh, that's good," or you could say, "I'm going to make that into a social media post. I'm going to go on to Canva. I'm going to go to Unsplash. I'm going to get some images. I'm going to make a nice little image saying, John Smith said the best app ever on Google Play, 18 November 2018, right? You could go through and do that kind of stuff. You have all that stuff coming through, and you might as well use it, right? If somebody says something good about your app, don't leave it on the Google Play page. Put it someplace where other people can see it. Go Fudge Yourselves says, hi. Hey, hi, how you doing? How are you doing, Go Fudge Yourselves? Aiden MC says, hi, Eric. What's your specification for your designers? Do you make wireframe, for example? You talk about SOPs. What do they look like? So the SOPs are, we have a standard format, and it's really just for designers. I don't think we have any. We do have some designer SOPs. So like we have an SOP for YouTube thumbnails, for the social media posts. The specifications for the designers are usually that I will go into Balsamic and I will do some wireframes. Sometimes not even Balsamic. Sometimes I'm just sketching it on a piece of paper, and I'll just take a picture of it with my phone, and then they'll take it and go into like Adobe XD and actually do some proper or Illustrator or whatever it is, depending on what it is. If it's for the initial quote, we don't really need a clickable prototype, so we can go into just a static image. So that's one way, and then yeah. So lately, so we have one. So we did one this week in Adobe XD where our designer Marvin, who's also a video editor, he did this prototype, and I done like a bunch of the wireframes, but I didn't do all of them because there were so many of them, and he just went through and did the rest of them. And that allows us to have a prototype design that we can give to the client, and they can sign off on the design first before we start coding anything. So it also means the designer has to know a little bit about user interface, because so they're not doing something that can't be done in whatever platform we're using. Go Fudge Yourself says, what do you think about Flutter? I don't like it. No, I've answered this question a lot. I like Flutter. I think yeah, I really like Flutter. Bro says, hi. Hey, bro. Jesse says, I hope the guy from the tool is not really a tool. Yeah, well, yeah, that would be that would be awkward. So the reason they want to show me the tool is so that I could show you guys. And I said I'll wait to see if it's any good, right? So we do the affiliate link thing and everything like that. But I really want to find out it's really good because I've never had an affiliate link on this channel, and it's something I need. Like every time I talk about a book on Amazon, I should have an affiliate link, and I haven't done. And it's mainly just because I'm lazy. Well, I'm not lazy. It's just setting up all that stuff and everything. So, you know. But so if the tool works, if it's good, then I'll tell you guys about it. If it's yeah, we'll be honest about it. And my whole thing is, I want them to show me how specifically I have this app. What do I do, right? Which is something on Sensor Tower I've never really got. Or on Mobile Action, I did get a nice tour of that before. But let's see. Aljan D says, "Hey Eric, what are your views on availing the services of PR firms? If you're positive, can you recommend any?" You know what? I know of PR firms and I know of marketing firms, and I think it's just one of these things that I've never really even considered using, and maybe I should. I mean, it just seems like that would be the fun part of the job, right? That would be like, you know, going out and doing the relations of your application. So for me, I think I could get more. I think the company gets more notice from me doing a daily YouTube video than it would from going to a PR firm and having them say whatever. Aljan, I guess I just don't know enough about it. Right? I don't want to belittle what PR firms do because I don't really even know what PR firms do. I know that they, you know, it'd be nice if I had somebody do the press releases for us, or it'd be nice if I had somebody do this kind of stuff for us. But, you know, I think I'm losing my voice. Let's see. Hussein says, which programming pattern do you like to use more often? I personally like Singleton a lot, but they say it makes things complicated if you work with a team. Hussein, you know, I think the reason it makes things complicated when you work with a team is because you have to make sure they understand how to use it. And a lot of the times, I mean, lately, Singleton's a good one. The decorator pattern is good. Yeah, there's a lot of them are good, and you know, it's been a while since I've even used any. It's difficult. Like if you're into the code, and you think this bit of code is going to be really flexible. We're going to use dependency injection, so whatever gets put into this function, it can just take that and work with it, and you just have like a really flexible bit of code, and then you give it to another developer, and they don't understand it, so they'll put a nasty if statement in it or something, and it just, you know, you just all of a sudden, like it's almost like you're pricing yourself out of developers because you need somebody of a higher skill in order to do it. Now, you have a better product, but yeah, you have a better product, I suppose. It depends on if sometimes, like as a developer, I like the code to look good. I like the code to be elegant. I want the code to be highly reusable. As a business owner, I want it to be done and I want it to be live, right? I want to be out on the market and find out if it's going to make some money. And sometimes it's just that conflict between the two. Like sometimes you'll see some code, it's not great. You think, let's just go with it. Let's go with it and see how it does. We need to get this on the market. We need to start testing this thing. If it really takes off, we can go back through it and fix it. So let's see. Bro says, what is the best app made by you? The best one made by me. So not like, you talk about like not by other people. So the best one made by me was a client application for Nominet. So it was a major internet company that we did for them, and it was a game, and it was probably the most fun I had using the game loop and going through and just I was just really happy with the way that it turned out, and not a lot of people saw it. so it's you know, we talk about the best one. We talk about what's the most successful one. Most successful one is the one I was most proud of was that one, and that was fun. So let's see. Maximilian Rashier says, "Dear Eric, I just got into the app business and I really enjoy watching your videos. They are so helpful. Thank you very much." Hey, no problem, Maximilian. I'm glad you made it. Thanks for joining us. And thanks for, if you guys weren't there, I'd just be talking to myself like I was last week at the live stream before I realized it was set to unlisted. Let's see. Edge developer says Uber suggests it's slow, but it does work sometimes. It still hasn't worked for me. It's still spinning. Let's see. Shoaib says Shoaib, man. Whew. All right. This would be a last question for you anyway. Let's see. Is there any mid-party that you can do that can do app store listing for us on a lot of app stores globally? Plus, share your experience. I know I've always done my app store listings myself, so I'm not really sure. Brian O'Shaughnessy says, "Got that right, Eric. Bastards." They are. We no longer write Apple apps. You know what? It is so. I mean, just Apple. They're just so full of themselves. I feel like they didn't want to have developers to begin with. They didn't want to have an app store, and when they did, they said, "There's an app for that. There's an app for everything." And then they started saying, "Now you can't have that app." And I really felt like I was being picked on because I had too many apps on the App Store, where they started rejecting anything I put through. And I said, "This is not like anything else out there." And they still were like, "Okay, well, this was not the same, but you need to combine all these other ones." And it doesn't make sense. Like, let's say all magazines had to be the same because they're in the same format, right? Let's say they're all pages, or they're all, they all use the same ads. We got to put all these magazines in the same format. It's not what it does. It's the market that you go to, right? It's so if you made a toy and you marketed it to boys, you should be able to market the same toy to girls, but make some changes to it so that it appeals more to girls, right? That's just the way it is. You can't say, "No, tough." You have to have one that's just marketed to both. Let's see. Christian says, "Hey there. Hey, Christian, how's it going? Hey, God, we're coming up to 2 hours here, so we're gonna have to go get pizza. Nearly pizza time. I think it's pizza or fish and chips. We'll see. Oh, the variety of my life. Let's see. 458 Scuderia says, "Doesn't Apple have a repetitive app policy?" Yes, they toned it down. They toned it down later. I haven't noticed them toning it down. But I gave up. I really gave up on putting this stuff through. If they have toned it down, I'd like to re-release all those apps again because. But yeah, it's called the Apple Guideline 4.3, and yeah, it's there. Policies. Jay Matthew says, "Policies aside, I like developing for Apple more than Android." That's cool. It is. You know what's nice about developing for Apple? Boy, I'm so two-faced. I'm like, I hate Apple. You know what's nice about Apple? Is that it's easier to test because you only have a handful of devices. They're really controlled about that. Yeah, and also they do have. I think they have a lot of better quality apps on the App Store. Just because you have so much stuff that goes in Google Play, and there's what do I like? I like the keywords field on Apple. It just seems like it's just nice and tidy, right? But there's certain things that I don't like about it. So, and I am an iPhone user. Although I didn't want to be an iPhone user, but I needed one for testing for client applications, and so I bought an iPhone this year, and this the year of being an iPhone user, and maybe next year I go back to be an Android user. And there's certain things I don't like about the Android iPhone, certain things that really bug me, like Siri and using Google Music and stuff like that. And so I'm using Apple Music now, and I don't like that as much as Google Music. But the hardware is really nice. The camera always works. The video always works. It feels good in your hand. It's just there's a lot I really do like about Apple and the products they put out, but they just Let's see. CodeChop says, "Eric, can someone download an app from the Play Store and release it on their own? I had one of my apps uploaded in Play Store from another account. I don't know if it's my developer or someone else. It was ditto." So yeah, I've had that happen once, and you do have the ProGuard things on there that you could do, and also if you use Google Analytics, this is one of the things where you might want to use Google Analytics not in your manifest or not in a config file. You want to put those in the code, so if somebody was to go through and release that somehow, you could see what it is. You can see what it is. And also try to stop people from if you go to a market that it's easy to download an APK, you could take any APK and change the extension to a zip, and then open it up. And most of the time, because it's compiled, you can only see like the image resources, and you can't really see any code. Now, if it's an Ionic application, I've done this before, where I've downloaded an APK and just unzipped it, and you can see all of that source code. So that would be something that would be possible to do. But let's see. Shoaib Ali, I'm not answering any more questions from you. All right, this is the last one. Do you know any bots that we can use for free for making marketing our social media? I don't know of any. There should be some though, shouldn't there? I tell you what, if there are any, I'm sure they're expensive. If you go, I would use something. I would do something yourself, right? Because you think Twitter has an API, Facebook has an API, Instagram has an API, everything has an API. And it used to be hard with Instagram. They used to like not let you post anything to it. So you have that kind of stuff. And let's say you have something that you use those APIs and you write a bit of code that does that. And you have stuff like, I don't know if this is possible, but if you use something like Dialogflow to actually start a conversation with people, then that might be kind of cool too. Let's see. Edge Developer says, do you use Facebook Pixel in any of your apps? No, not in any of the apps. We use it on our website and we use it on some of our landing pages. But Edge Developer, I didn't even know you could use them in your apps. Can you? Because I'm trying to think. A pixel is a cookie, which would have to have a web view that would do it. So is it possible in Firebase audience to run targeted ads on AdMob or AdSense? So yeah, I don't know if that's possible. I'm trying to think, because if you did have a pixel, then you could theoretically run Facebook ads to your users of your application. But they're already users of your application, so you can run those ads in your application already. So I'm trying to think of a good scenario where that would come in handy. Spinacz says, sorry, ZPINACZ. I hope I said that right. Spinacz says, hi Eric, I love your show. It's my show. Nobody's ever called it my show before. It's the Eric Show. Hi Eric, I love your show and all the valuable info that you are sharing so openly. Just wondering, did you have any chance of working with Unity? Do you have any thoughts about it? I've never worked with Unity. I've started and I've purchased tutorials on Udemy and I've kind of gone through them, and I like the idea of Unity because it's JavaScript or C#, mostly C#, and it's you could do for PlayStation or Windows or whatever. You could do a desktop applications and everything. And we use Corona, which is in Lua, which is not my favorite language. But there's some that I didn't like. Every time I go into the Unity interface, it confuses me. Right? It's just there's too much going on there. Every time I watch a tutorial, but I think it's a lot of Adobe tools are like that too. Like you just you look at it, you think, oh man, this could take me ages to learn this, and then once you start using it, you get the hang of it. So. But no, I think if I were going to do the games again, I would start with Unity. I think Unity has got a lot more it's got a lot more traction. And Rodrigo, yeah, fishing chips. No, fish and chips, pizza. Oh yeah, okay. Let's see. Oh, pizza. Unity takes most of the platform-specific hassle away. That's true. Fish and chips. Hey man, I'm with some fish and chips, man. No Name Land says I'm very late, but we'll catch up. Hi all. Hi Eric. Hey No Name Land. Thanks for showing up. I'm just about to finish this thing up though. So it's been 2 hours. It's been over 2 hours now. So I need to go eat. It's been a long day. It's been a very long day. I haven't left this office since I guess 9. Well, it's not that bad. So usually I'll try to nip out a little bit. So and last one from Jerem Sparta, because he just came in the nick of time, says, what is the best software to create an Android app? It's probably Android Studio if you're just going to do Android app. So you use Android Studio. It's got everything you need. All the tutorials are based on that. If you're learning something, then that's the one to do. So I think that's it. Harold, all right, Harold. How many keywords do you get displayed on the new Play Store acquisition report search term? I can only see one single keyword. I see a lot. I see like 20. And Jay says, have a good one, great video. Hey everybody, thank you so much for showing up on the live stream this week. Hopefully, well, I tried to answer everybody's questions. I try not to leave until all the questions are answered. So but I'm starving. I'll go get home. So tomorrow, so I'll see you guys tomorrow on the daily video, and I think I can get out and do some videos, maybe tonight or tomorrow, and I'll see you guys. Boy, I'm exhausted. I'll see you guys next week on the next live stream. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Talk to you later.
Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all about. Threw my virtues to